We are Movie Menu Reviews, showing you that anyone can really have their own podcast. On today's menu, we'll be reviewing SCOOB, and in case you missed the reviews for Wendy, The Call of the Wild, and Emma. Movie Menu, Movie Menu, the Movie Menu, Movie Menu, Movie Menu, Movie Menu. Welcome, everyone. I'm Dan the Man Muñoz, host of Movie Menu Reviews, your weekly movie news and reviews podcast, live through Zoom. Yeah. Yes. Try saying that 3 times. What you don't want to say it 3 times is the name of my senior panelist co-host, Z.
Hey!
Ah, scary. And you definitely don't want to say the name of my co-host even once, because he'll show up awkwardly. Is my co-host, Mike Stan.
Mike Stan!
Good to see you guys. Welcome, welcome. We are back. We are back for a brand new episode of Movie Menu Reviews. And boy, do we have a big show for you to make up for the long hiatus that we took. How's everyone doing?
I was going to ask that. Yeah, how you doing, Mike?
I am doing great. I am doing great.
I don't believe you at all.
Good, you shouldn't.
Mike, you don't look great, but then you never really did.
Yeah, you should call the hospital.
Probably.
Speaking of things that have been awkwardly done, the Oscars are now revamping the eligibility requirements for contenders in the COVID-19 era. This is an article from the Hollywood Reporter, basically stating that documentaries, a lot of films, in order for them to be qualified for the Oscars, they have to play at least 1 week, if not more, in LA or New York at a theatrical run in the theaters. Well, because of what's going on, theaters are being closed. The Oscars have revamped their rules to allow documentaries to not have to follow the same rules to be eligible for an Oscar nomination. What do you guys feel about that? Do you think that's a good thing that they're doing? Do you think they should make that for every single category that's been going on for this year, for next year? What do you guys think?
Well, I kind of feel like because the pandemic has affected so many theater chains, and I get it that everyone is, trying their best to be hopeful about when the next movie is going to be released. Some people are saying August, some people are saying November. Honestly, I think that the impact of COVID-19 on the better theatrical releases are being affected. People are not looking to release an Oscar contender during this time. And so I feel like if they were to do this for all of the categories, then I think that we would see much better films being released during this time. I think they should make an allowance for better movies to be released during this time.
I mean, I agree. I think a lot of the films should be allowed to be eligible, especially if they've been VOD, or as they like to call it now, premium VOD, PVOD. But look at the theaters that have been going on. Like AMC is saying they're not going to show Universal movies, and then all this stuff going on. So I feel like anytime the movie can come out for the audience to watch, whether it's PVOD, it should be eligible as well, because people are watching it.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think it should. I think that. I think it's a good change, and you got to go with the times for sure.
Adapt.
Yes,
you shall fall behind.
Yeah.
Also, Golden Globes changes and tweaks its rules for eligibility as well. This one is aligned more of the films, also foreign films, to not have to be theatrical release as well. At least the Golden Globes are doing it. Do we care though, the Golden Globes?
No, because the Golden Globes are bought and sold, so there's no real. I mean, obviously they're making this allowance because some big producer is paying them to do it. So, I appreciate what they're doing, and I think that things need to move slowly, and generally the first thing that happens is that the Golden Globes move and then the Academy moves. So I think that it's a good sign to see that the Golden Globes are moving so that it forces the Academy to actually do something about it.
Now, Z, you mentioned about theaters may be opening around August or September. There are some releases that are going to be in July, like Mulan, Tenet. Those are big movies that are looking to relaunch the theatrical world again in July. Do you feel that if these movies don't get pushed back, then there's no reason to really change the eligibility rules because it was only a few months? And
I will say this much: if you are a theater owner, you should be worried about being sued for making a space to be contaminated. That even though a theater holds like 300 people, right now the amount of people that are restricted to one location is 50. You're going to lose out on tickets. And so I feel like even if you have 50 people, even if you sparse people in the theater, the likelihood of you being contaminated, I don't want to watch a movie with the face mask on. You know, like I have glasses I have to use to watch a movie and it fogs up. So I'm not going to enjoy my theater experience. So I feel like realistically, theaters should be really wary whether or not they want to open and be at a disadvantage of being sued. Because I feel like if you go to a movie theater and you say, clients, the people who are going to watch them, the tenants, the whatever, you are likely to get infected. I'm not going to go watch a movie. And yeah, you're right. Mulan is slated to be released in July. That is a terrible move on Disney's part. I think that they're going to push back on that. And honestly, I feel like they're going to push back by releasing it on Disney Plus because that's what they have to do. You know, release it on Disney Plus, but that's a $6. I forgot how much people are paying for it, $12, and then have us pay an additional fee on that. I would be okay with an in-app purchase to watch a premium movie through Disney Plus. So they have to adapt. And honestly, we're looking at when things get back to normal, we're looking at November. We're looking at February of next year until a cure is found. Until a cure is found, will I feel okay going to a movie theater?
What about you, Mike? What do you think?
No, I think Z has a good point. I think premium VOD is the way to go, and I think Z's right on this one. Hopefully, it sounds like that would be the wisest step for Disney to do because, I can't imagine myself going to the theater in July either. So, and I can't imagine a lot of people going to the theaters. I think a lot of people are going to be. No, scared.
Unfortunately, there are quite a few people. Yeah, quite a few people who want.
Yeah, you would be surprised. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think that it's still. In the end, it's still going to be a loss for them, And I think they're better off just doing the premium VOD.
Well, go on, Mike.
And I think other production studios should do the same thing. Whether it's deals with other streaming platforms or with their own platform.
Which speaking of which, there's been rumors going around that Amazon is looking to buy AMC. The chain, AMC chain.
That's awesome. That's interesting.
It makes sense.
Yeah, since they've been on the verge of bankruptcy for the past couple of months, and they've gotten some private investors to help them out. But because they've gone so low in stock, Amazon, which was trying to buy Landmark last year, got outbid by another company. So it wouldn't be shocking because since Amazon is looking to start a theater chain, because their movies. That they do, the Amazon Studios, they can, show it at theatrical AMC if they own it, and they can be nominated for an Oscar or whatever.
That's smart.
They may run into some legal issues with that, only because I forget which law, but there was a law in which a studio can't own a big theater chain. Because it's a conflict of interest. So they can own smaller chains, but owning bigger chains, that becomes a little bit more difficult for them. But it would be interesting. And I think it would be a smart move to get AMC right now for Amazon. because that's the way streaming, online streaming. If you can take the deals you've made with studios and then apply them to online streaming through a premium front, you have yourself a winner,
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of contracts to do with, like when the movie's released, where it can be released at, how long it can be in the theater for. So there's all these contracts with theater owners, which is less restricting than streaming service, obviously, because once it goes home, it's home.
Yeah.
So, well, I guess we'll see how the future of cinema establishes itself within this time period.
And we'll keep talking about it, because I feel like this topic keeps every week. There is a new thing that's going on, and I think that it's good to have the dialogue. I think it's good to have an open dialogue about what the future looks like in a world in which COVID-19 can still eradicate us.
Yeah, well, instead of talking about that, let's go ahead and talk about some movie reviews. Let's go ahead and head over to that. Movie menu. So the first movie we are reviewing is SCOOB, directed by Tony Cervone, written by Matt Lieberman, Adam Schleitzko, sure, Jack Donaldson, and Derek Elliott, starring Will Forte, Frank Welker, Mark Wahlberg, and Jason Isaacs. All right, guys, I did not see this film, so depending on your spoiler-free review, here's the plot. Scooby and the gang face their most challenging mystery ever, a plot to unleash the ghost dog Cerberus upon the world. As they race to stop this dogpocalypse, the gang discovers that Scooby has an epic destiny greater than anyone imagined. So, like I had mentioned, I have not seen this film, so depending on your spoiler-free review, I shall decide this movie's worth a delivery, watch it immediately, curbside, take your time to watch it, or leftovers, toss this film in the trash. As you may have known, we had changed our rating system to reflect our current time. So, hope it's not too confusing for you. So there's no points because it's only us three reviewing the film. So, with that said, let's review it. Z, rate this film.
Let me make sure that I'm not muted. Yes. This movie, for me, is what we used to call a takeout, and now is a curbside takeout. Take your time to watch this one. It's not awful in the sense of if you're a kid, you'll enjoy this. However, it is not what I was expecting or wanted out of a Scooby origin movie. It does its best to take something from each pot of the current cinematic style of cinematic universes. And I think for that reason, it feels like there's just too much going on. I honestly stopped caring halfway, probably 1/3 into the movie. And it honestly loses the heart of what the Scooby-Doo franchise is, which is the Scooby Gang. And I think that's what makes this movie not a good movie.
The focus primarily being on Shaggy and Scooby. So
yes, correct.
Mike?
This is a curbside takeout as well. I think if you have kids, if you don't, you can actually skip this. So if you have kids, curbside takeout. If not, leftovers is fine. I think it's a common thing with a lot of the Scooby movies versus a TV show. I think the TV show is always like grounded in some type of reality. Mm-hmm. Where it's like there's ghosts. It's like, no, it's not really a ghost. It's like old man whatever, and they so with this one,
you would have gotten away with it if it wasn't for you pesky kids.
Yeah, and instead this turns into like a Minions movie or a Despicable Me film or something, and like it becomes grand and it becomes like it kicks itself out of reality. So like in the beginning, there's like the other themed Scooby shows, it's like the reality is there, the explanations are there, and then but I've noticed that in other Scooby films as well. But the first third of the film is your typical Scooby show, and then the other 2/3 it goes in a very strange direction. And
I saw in the trailers itself them getting like abducted, which I'm assuming is the Blue Falcon. but
yes.
Is it? Yeah, I don't know if that's. Well, I guess
It's not a spoiler.
Yeah,
well,
it's not a spoiler.
I haven't seen the movie, so
You're right. Yeah, it's within. I think that's like first third of the film, so yeah, that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but
we should say this movie is available to rent through premium services, so iTunes, Amazon, everywhere else that you have an ability to rent it. You can rent this for I think $20. This movie I think was based off of a short animation that somebody had made. So I don't know if you guys remember that somebody made a short animation and was like, "Look what I did," and somebody took that style and so that's what this movie is. It's actually a creature based off of a short. Mm-hmm. And so it's very interesting that in the trailer, the initial trailer, it showed you the origin story, and so it was selling us on this concept of like what was the Scooby Gang when they were kids. And I love that idea. That part,
which ironically, because there was a TV show called A Pup Named Scooby Doo.
Yes.
Yeah,
I loved The Pup Named Scooby Doo growing up. It was such a great cartoon, and they always had the joke with the bully, the red herring.
Yeah,
who we always thought was the villain, but it wasn't really him. He was just the red herring.
And I think what Mike touched on, and if we're going to go into like story and characters, what he touched on was exactly right, which is this idea of like for Scooby, and I love Scooby watching 13 Goes and just growing up watching all the old school Scooby-Doo gang stories, was that you basically got, this sense of what's it called? The cynicism in ghost stories, in abductions and UFOs and Bigfoot, all that stuff. And it was this really great depiction of like, this stuff isn't real. Somebody's manipulating us until you find out that there are real ghosts and stuff in 13 Ghosts. And then it gets really cool. So it was founded on that. But for this movie, what this movie actually tried doing was opening up the world by saying that not only does Scooby exist in this world, and so they're ghost hunters, but they're actually part of a cinematic universe with Blue Falcon and with other bigger, well-known characters. And
so there's cameos in this movie.
Oh, yeah. This movie is intended to be a Hanna-Barbera cinematic universe, and there's plenty of cameos in this movie. And you're like, oh, wait, do I know that character from somewhere? And so I spent most of this movie Googling and looking up, like, do I remember this character? It's like, yep, that's a character that initially came out in Hanna-Barbera's, Channel 7 back when I was growing up. So I think because of that, it loses the Scooby-Doo charm. It should not have been called Scooby-Doo. It should have been called, Dog Vengers or something ridiculous, because it does it not feel like an Avengers level threat, Mike? And because of that, it loses it.
Yeah, it gets too grand. And when it gets too grand, it like, well, I agree.
I hope the Avengers style of this would be wacky races where they're all like racing through and you see all the...
Which is what I wanted, except they don't even give you that. It becomes a little bit more silly. And so for me, what really hurt the story was, all right, it set the two characters up, Scooby and Shaggy, as feeling like they're like the fifth wheel or the sixth wheel or whatever. And so they're bound to leave, and when they're starting to leave, that's when they get introduced to the Blue Falcon. You're supposed to see growth of the character throughout a movie, and in just like any cartoon, you really don't get any growth. You just simply get the characters being the same afterwards. And so I think for me, that was one of the biggest feelings was, if you're going to put these characters into a movie, I want to see them grow. I want to see them develop. I want to see them become something different. Give me something I haven't seen before, because you know what? Honestly, the Scooby-Doo movies from the live action ones were way better than this movie.
That was my next question. How did this hold up to the live action films? So surprisingly, the live action was better?
I'll let Mike answer.
Yeah, I honestly don't remember the live action.
Okay,
but
good job, Mike.
but one job, Mike.
But I think there were some successes in this film, and I think the heart of this film is the friendship between Scooby and Shaggy, which, like, I think that part of it works, and you can argue, like, I mean, it works. It works, and it is like a But they go into a deeper backstory of Scooby, and it gets very like Indiana Jonesy. It gets very like it as he mentioned before. It becomes like superhero universe style, and like it kind of alters it alters how our mystery gang. It alters who they are, and I think that kind of hurts things a little bit.
Is the whole movie basically when prequel, like when they were kids?
No. It goes back into the future, but it's funny because when they're kids, it's like modern times. So then when they're adults, it's also modern times. So there's there's no real like time frame. It's like I don't know. They just aged.
There were some really great quotes though that I really like because there's a moment in which. This random character comes out of nowhere and goes like, yeah, the guy who wore like that green shirt, he talked a little bit like what I think an old person thinks a hippie sounds like. And it's like there was this really like great.
So there's some self-awareness.
Yeah, there was some self-awareness, and I liked that. I thought that was really clever. But
okay, so there's like a where Scooby-Doo, Where Are You came out. The original, a lot of people were now talking about how much stoners Shaggy and Scooby were.
They were.
Make any references to that?
No, I think they dropped that. The great part about the live action, Mike, if you don't remember this, there's in part 2, Shaggy falls in love with a girl named Mary Jane. Oh. And it's like quite a clear marijuana reference.
I see.
And it was amazing to watch. They don't do that in this movie at all. No, this movie, the audience for this movie, and it's very, very clear that the audience for this movie is somebody who has watched the cartoons, as a child and is still a child. The animation, the humor is all child-based. I didn't find it like they were trying to play to the older audiences like us. And I think because of that reason, I felt like they lost us a little bit. It's a tale of two stories, right? They're trying their best to create a cinematic universe that only the older people will know, but then it's pandering to a younger audience, and it's not doing a good job of creating that transition where, like a Shrek humor, where the kids are enjoying it, but the adults are also enjoying it for different reasons.
Or even like a Pixar film, like Toy Story, where it's like anyone can enjoy it.
Exactly. Yeah.
How was the voice cast? Oh, sorry, Mike. Go on.
No, yeah. No, I was just gonna say it is very PG. So
yeah. You said miscast.
Mike, did you want to see some blood?
Miscast.
I think there is like I with the exception of like there's like a Tinder reference somewhere in the film.
Is there really?
Yeah. There's a joke. They say like this character
swipe right.
They said like this character thought the Tinder app was to buy wood or something like that. So which only adults would understand, you know. So
yeah, but that's like a small line.
Yeah. I was like, okay, that stands out in a very strange way. But
well, they're literally tossing you a bone like Scooby. Or a Scooby snack.
Yeah, I was gonna say a bone seems more accurate. Yeah. But yeah, no, I don't think it was miscast. I think all the people, the actors who did the voices were actually really on point. I really love that. I thought they were really good, with the exception of one. Did I feel like the movie's casting was very well done. Will Forte as Shaggy was just phenomenal. I think he did a really good job. I think it was just miswritten. I think if you look at the people who wrote this movie, it's a laundry list of people. It's not just one person. It's several different cooks in the kitchen. And I think for that reason, this movie feels like it's going in different ways. The mythology is cool, but there's just so many stories going on that you lose traction of what you should actually be caring about. But yeah, like the voice acting in this movie is really, really good. I loved hearing, what's his face? Jason Isaacs as Dick Dastardly. He was really fun to watch. It was really fun to hear him kind of blend into that role. You can tell that he was having a lot of fun.
Spoiler.
That's early on too.
That's like, early on. Yeah.
I would say maybe the beginning of the second third of the film. I would say maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, is when that villain is introduced.
Yeah, so. I think the only voice actor that sucks really, really like absolutely terrible is Simon Cowell. why did they put Simon Cowell in this movie?
Yeah, Simon Cowell. It's cameo.
It seems like a joke that should have been made about 20 years ago.
Yeah. It's an old, which is interesting too. Like they do all these like weird, like they do these weird references in different time periods. It's like there's no clear like it seemed like this film could have easily been released like 15 years ago, and it would have made sense still.
Yeah, I agree. I just found some of the jokes a little bit odd. And again, who's this audience? Who's the audience for this movie? And it just feels like it's misdirected.
Yeah. Even music choices, like there's like, it's strange. I don't know. It's interesting.
It quite clearly wants to tell you that it's the music choices. They really want to tell you that it's of this time. Like, look, we're modern. Look, we put hip hop in this movie. It's really, really strange.
Yeah. So,
All right. Any final thoughts? I think I've heard enough.
I would have liked for them to focus on that first third of the story and then just continue to develop Scooby and Shaggy as kids. I thought it was like fun to see that develop and fun to see the crew get together and how they're introduced to each other. And then it does this quick montage into the future, but I would have preferred to stay where they were at and Will Forte is great. I would have preferred that if they would have just developed that first third and stuck with that all the way.
Agreed. I think I was promised a Scooby-Doo movie, and I got a Hanna-Barbera movie, and I think that was my disappointment with this movie. Was that I was looking forward to hearing like, damn you kids! I was looking forward to hearing that, and what I got was, let me tell you about all the cartoons that you missed as a child, and here, buy all these toys. It really felt like a marketing. It felt like a commercial for a bigger extended universe, and I didn't appreciate that.
All right.
Gotcha.
I think I've heard enough of your review to make an educated guess. A guess. Not a statement. A guess. To go curbside / takeout.
Okay.
I will not rush to download this right away. I will wait for it till it goes on rental for $5.99. Then I'll check it out.
Yeah,
Not
or
worth
wait till Netflix acquires it and then streams it through an already accessed account.
That too. Or wait till it's on like Stars or HBO or Showtime.
Yes,
one of those.
Absolutely.
Perfect. So thank you guys for reviewing Scoob. Now we have 3 other films that we each watched individually that we will go ahead and review now. Movie menu. So the first movie we're reviewing is Wendy. Written and directed by Ben Zeitlin. Also written by Eliza Zeitlin. Inspired by Peter Pan by J.M. Barrie. Starring Devin France, Yeshua Mack, and Gage McQueen. Here's the plot. Lost on a mysterious island where aging and time have come unglued, Wendy must fight to save her family, her freedom, and the joyous spirit of youth from the deadly peril of growing up. Alright guys, depending on my spoiler-free review, you both will decide this movie's worth a delivery, watch it immediately, a curbside takeout, wait and take your time to watch it, or leftovers, toss this film in the trash. So, here we go. I shall rate this film. I say delivery.
Oh,
Watch
okay.
it. I got to make a note that it can be watched on iTunes, Apple TV, or Amazon, or Vudu, or wherever. It currently runs for $5.99
okay.
rental, and this film is a reimagining of the story of Peter Pan through the eyes of Wendy. It is a more grounded film in the sense that it's rated PG-13, but it's not for kids. Mm-hmm. It's more of a film for either teenagers to adults. I wouldn't recommend showing little ones. This is not the Peter Pan Disney at all. It's very dark. It's very gritty. It's the same director who made
Beast of the Southern Wild.
So it's very like gritty and like the camera. The cinematography is beautiful. There is some fantasy elements to the film, but it takes the story of Peter Pan and like really changes some of the lore, which is great. There's no Tinkerbell, stuff like that. There's not real pixies, but there is an island that is very magical in the sense. It's somewhat depressing as well to watch because you get what it is to be a child again, and then when that's taken away from you and become an adult. But the film, I thought, was beautifully shot. I really enjoyed where the story went. It's, again, like I said, it's really dark. I enjoyed that aspect of it, but it leaves you hopeful, I guess. And it does a great job. It's all non-acting kids, but the acting is really well done by the kids.
Okay.
It got bad reviews because a lot of people were upset that this was not Disneyfied or not like a Disneyfied version of Peter Pan. They're like, it's too depressing. It's too this, that. It's not something I want to take my kids to, blah, 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 blah. But I feel like I wouldn't listen to that. This movie, it stands on its own, and it's a new take. We've seen so many takes of Peter Pan, and I feel like this version is a nice adaptation for modern times of Peter Pan.
All right.
Right on. So one of the things about this movie is that the director, Ben Zeitlin, he did direct Beast of the Southern Wild, which I saw and I thought was beautiful to watch. However, very artsy, very difficult to stay with it because it does require a lot of attention to, the way the movie is shot, the cinematography, not a lot of dialogue because the actors in Beast of the Southern Wild that were also non-actors. Does this movie suffer from that same difficulty?
It is a slow burn, but the difference between that and with this is that this is a story that we're familiar with. It's the story of Peter Pan, again, through the eyes of Wendy. So we're following Wendy and the thing I like about it is that, in most versions, Wendy isn't the adventurer. She's the mother of To the Lost Boys. She is the one that like cleans and cooks in the stories, and like she doesn't join in the adventures of the Lost Boys. That's where Michael and John are. They join in the adventures. I mean, Wendy is left behind. Well, in this film, Wendy and the Wendy is just as obnoxious as the boys, and these kids are like terrible kids. They're not. Their last names are Darling, but they're anything but darling children. It established that it shows the Wendy and her brothers, and how they interact with each other, and like awful, like how they cuss at each other and like beat each other up and all that stuff. Like, they're very poor. They grow up and they live in a poor area, and they don't want to grow up in that place because they see where everyone else is growing up and how like their lives have gone nowhere, and they want more for themselves as kids, and that's like where the adventure starts. And it's a different take on it that yes, it starts slow because it builds a new world that you already have established in your head what the world of Peter Pan is, but you have to pay attention because they're creating new roles for this world, and I like the new roles in this world. Because like one of the rules, how to fly is you have to think of happy thoughts, right? Mm-hmm. Well, in the movie, and I don't think this is a spoiler, but as a kid, you have to think happy thoughts. If you think negative thoughts, then bad things will happen. And I thought that was a cool thing, as a flip on its head of think happy thoughts so you can fly. It's like, don't think negative thoughts because bad things will happen.
So they're like continuing to add on to that lower.
Right. Which is something like we missed, growing up with Peter Pan, is like, what if they think bad thoughts? What if they become depressed? What if they become, what if the kids, lose their imagination? What if all this stuff, like what happens to them? They lose their child innocence. What does that mean? Are they still a lost boy? So I thought those questions were brought up, and I really enjoyed watching the answers unravel themselves.
Cool.
Yeah. All right.
So
I think.
what do you guys rate? Or do you guys have any questions?
How's the music?
Oh, it's beautiful. The score is amazing. The visual effects are amazing. And the cinematography is great. It is. It's a slow movie. And I know, like, when people watch movies at home, they have distractions. They have their phone.
Yep.
I wasn't distracted. But this is a movie I've been wanting to watch. So I made sure to, like, put my phone away so I was not distracted watching it. And I made sure to drink a big cup of coffee. Actually, this big, I had coffee this size, so to make sure to stay awake. Because, you know, watching movies at night, you just fall asleep. So I made sure I was awake when I watched it too. So visually, like, the director does visually stuff really good. Not so much substance. I feel like the substance is there. It's just a slow build to get to it.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I've heard enough, Dan.
I think I've heard enough as well. I've been distracted this entire time.
Wow. So what do you guys rate it then?
Mike?
I'm gonna go with Dan, and I'm gonna run with Delivery, and I'm gonna check this out. I'm very interested to see how they retell this story. I know there's been a lot of I've seen there's been like several different versions of this, so it'll be interesting to see this new, like, darker take. And
definitely this is much better than the Hugh Jackman one that came out.
Yes, yes,
that was awful. This is not that.
Yes. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this new change, and something like said feels like it's based a little bit more in reality. Other than you mentioned they fly, so it kind of takes it back out of that. But I'm still interested.
I didn't mention they fly. I didn't.
Okay, that's
I just said in the original version, if you want to fly, you think happy thoughts.
I see.
In this version, they just talk about if you don't think happy thoughts, something will happen to you.
Gotcha.
So,
okay, that's good. I like that. That's
they watch to see if they fly or not.
Okay.
Z?
I'm going to say that this movie was, for me, a curbside takeout, and I don't think Dan convinced me entirely. Not to say that your review wasn't that good. I'm just saying that I'm still not interested in watching this movie. I know, well, like, okay, but all right, don't call me an asshole because, like,
I'm kidding.
But the truth is, like, this movie is very hard to watch, and I know this because I've watched Beasts of Southern Wild, and I watched Beasts of Southern Wild only because it was an Oscar-nominated movie, and that helped promote the movie a little more for me to actually sit and bear through it. But they are art house films, and they are very difficult to watch. That's the part where, for me, right now, with the whole COVID thing, is like really forcing me to sit down and watch something. That's what's difficult. If this movie was in a theater, I would watch it in a heartbeat because I would be in the room, not distracted, and focused on watching it. So, yeah, I would say that this movie's still not a full-on deliver for me. It's still a curbside. I still want to watch it, but I feel like I'm going to take my time to watch it.
Okay. That's fair.
All right.
Now let's move on to the next review. Movie menu. Which the next review will be The Call of the Wild. Z, take it away.
Yeah, The Call of the Wild, directed by Chris Sanders, written by Michael Green, and based upon the novel by Jack London, starring Harrison Ford, Omar Sy, Kara G of The Expanse fame, and Dan Stevens of Legion fame. I mean, there's some really smart actors in this movie. Here's the plot. Sled dog struggles for survival in the wilds of the Yukon. All right, so once again, depending on your spoiler-free review, you will decide, on my spoiler-free review, you will decide if this movie is worth delivery, watch it immediately, a curbside or takeout, take your time to watch it, or leftovers, toss this film in the trash. With that being said, I'm going to review this movie. I'm going to say that this movie is a curbside pickup and maybe even at that, a leftovers. The movie really does struggle with its storytelling. It is based upon a book by Jack London, as I said earlier, and because of it, it really doesn't add anything to what we've seen before. This is, I believe, a remake of a different movie. And so because of that, it just feels like it meanders and goes all over the place. It doesn't really introduce Harrison Ford's character until halfway through the movie. And you really don't get a sense of, predicament until probably a little bit past the halfway point. I don't think it does a good job of setting its character up, and the character being the dog Buck. It actually spends so much time trying to show you that this dog is real, and I think that's a huge problem. The CGI is not that good. Now, understandably, the CGI is not that good because it's better than using a real dog. Versus, and what I mean by that is, like, I'm glad they used a CGI dog that wasn't being punished by human hands, because that's usually how you get dogs to act in the way you want them to. So for me, this movie kind of felt a little bit like a give and take. It really did. I struggled with it because it just felt like they were trying to show you, hey, look at all the art we can do. But it didn't, for me, the uncanny valley was so difficult to get over. And I think that distraction was a reason why, for me, it just felt like I struggled watching this movie. So if you're watching it at home, you can just struggle through it because the entire time you're thinking, oh, that looks rough. Or, oh, that was a terrible, or like when a character shows up and you're like, that's the bad guy, because you know that he's got a mustache on and it feels very old-timey in that way. You have a lot of weird cameos that come out of nowhere and you're like, oh, why is that famous person in this movie? And it just feels like it's a movie made by a guy who's really famous, who's got a lot of famous friends, and they pop in and out ever so often. I'm really confused as to why Harrison Ford's in this movie. But I think that he adds the level of charm that you expect from an old fart like him. I loved it. No, but don't get me wrong. I loved his curmudgeon, self. And he's like, oh, I don't know why I'm doing this. And part of me is like, is that Nick Nolte? No, that's Harrison Ford. I feel like Nick Nolte and Harrison Ford can swap movies and you wouldn't even know. But for that reason, this movie just kind of falls on a little bit of like, well, it's okay. And I wouldn't rush out to watch it. I think if you watched it with kids, they would enjoy it. And as an adult, so if you're watching it as a parent, you might enjoy it too, just by watching it. But is it any, like, do you feel like their character growth is enough for you to go, wow, that was amazing? No, you can see every growth a mile away. And for that reason, it just seems very predictable.
And Z, really quick, where did you say you saw the movie at?
I'm sorry. Thank you for asking. This movie is available on streaming on Amazon, Netflix, everywhere you can look online right now for the premium streamings.
Oh, it's also on Netflix?
I'm sorry, no, not Netflix. I apologize. Not Netflix. It's not on. I thought this movie initially was going to be on Disney Plus because it seems like a Disney movie, but it's not. No, it's on all the premium purchase sites.
There's a movie very similar that came out on Disney Plus. I forget the name of it. I think it stars Willem Dafoe. But yeah, my thing going in watching this film or the trailers, I was like, ugh, this movie looks awful with the animation or the CGI. They should have just made it an animated movie. If they would have made an animated movie, what do you think that would have done?
I think I would have enjoyed watching an animated movie over this or a rotoscope. You know, with rotoscope, the blending of
Scanner Darkly.
Scanner Darkly did a rotoscope. I think I would have enjoyed watching. Now, obviously, the movie's aesthetics don't fit that Scanner Darkly way of looking at it, but I think you would have avoided having to use humans, and so by doing that, it would have looked better. I think that the technology for animal recreation has gone so wild and so crazy that now movies can be judged on whether or not they look like The Lion King or not. And I feel like this movie does not. It actually pales in comparison. And I think for that reason, it should have been done into an animation. I would have enjoyed it. And it would have been more excusable to get a voiceover from the dog's perspective had they done that. In this movie, the dog doesn't speak. You don't hear his voice in any way. But the cinematography, the CGI is really, really good in that you can see his expressions. And I was trying to see whether or not a human did the motion capture for him, and I couldn't find who did the mocap. But you can tell that there was somebody behind it really emoting something, and I thought that was really interesting.
It was Andy Serkis. No, I'm just kidding.
I don't know. I thought so too, because it just was really well done. Mike, any questions?
How is the music?
Why are you asking about music?
I'm just, I don't know.
Because he always asks about music.
I'm very curious on how the score was.
The music wasn't as good as it needed to be. It honestly, it felt like a by the numbers type of movie. It just did not feel like they were trying to go for something new. It felt like they were like, well, we have money. Let's spend it on this, So that's, I think, the part that was really sad about watching this movie.
Gotcha.
Now,
yeah, I do agree. Like, just in seeing the trailer, it looked like it would have just made more sense to be either an animation or a complete CG film. It just would have made a lot more sense if.
Now, Z, you mentioned something about like the bad stuff to happen was like towards like the middle end of the film.
Yes.
If the dog was ever in danger because it was a CGI character, did you ever feel like, oh my God, the dog? Or was it like, it's a CGI, I don't really care?
Oh, I don't think that had much to do with it. I think that my investment in the dog character is my investment as in normal dog characters. I don't want him to die. But I never felt like there was a moment of threat in this movie for the dog. I think the threat was always more with the human characters. And I don't think that has to do with the story. I think that had to do with just simply, or rather that had to do more with the story, less with the character development or with the CGI. So if it was a real dog, I wouldn't have been like, oh, snap. Like there was never any moments where that happens. There was never a John Wick moment. It was always more of like people beating up on the humans and the dog jumping into rescue.
I hope there would be no John Wick moment in this movie.
I wish there were. I think that would have, imagine had there been a moment in which, this movie's based off a very old-timey story, so I doubt they would ever go in that direction. But I would have loved to have seen the dog create a militia very similar to that one movie, I forget which movie that was, where the dog's White God, where all of a sudden they take over a city. Like, that would have been kick-ass. But, it's not that, so...
I'm happy you mentioned that.
You're welcome.
Search for White God again. It's a great film. So.
Go watch it. Yeah.
With live
that's on
dogs,
Amazon.
actually. So that film, Live Dogs, they were actually all strays, and the dog coach actually trained all these strays. It's amazing.
I just wonder how they got them to do it.
It's a feat on its own, and yeah, it's so cool.
Yeah. All right. So that's the end of my review.
All right.
Mike, what do you say?
I'm gonna say I'm gonna go with Leftovers on this one. I'm not gonna catch it, so
that's fine. That's fine.
I'll go with Curbside Takeout.
Okay.
I'll probably watch it, but not anytime soon.
Watch it for Harrison Ford. I think he's the best part of the movie, but sadly he's not in the movie the whole movie.
All right, so thank you, Z, for your review of The Call of the Wild. We're going to switch it now to the next review, which will go to Mike Stand.
Hey!
Movie menu.
All right. So the movie I'm reviewing is Emma, directed by Autumn de Wilde, written by Eleanor Catton, based on the novel by Jane Austen. So it stars Anya Taylor-Joy, Johnny Flynn, Mia Goth, and Bill Nye is in this as well. So here's the plot. In 1800s England, a well-meaning but selfish young woman meddles in the love lives of her friends. So now, depending on my spoiler-free review, you guys will decide if this movie's worth a delivery. Watch it immediately. Curbside, you can wait to watch it, or Leftovers, toss it in the trash. Don't even bother. So I'm gonna rate this film as a Curbside. So I'm just not. In general, I'm not a Jane Austen fan. So I think this film it's very well done for the genre that it is. So if you love rom-coms, if you love period pieces, or if you love like Jane Austen films, I think this film is for you. Like, I think it nails all three of those. This film, like the clothing in this film is amazing. I can imagine this film getting nominated for Best Wardrobe or even Best Cinematography. It looks beautiful. The direction was great. I believe this was a directorial debut of our director, Autumn de Wilde. who's done music videos before then. So, but the film looks beautiful, both wardrobe wise, the cinematography and the acting is great too. And I just really liked seeing Bill Nye in his clothing. I think he would make a fantastic Beethoven. I'm just hoping, I'm hoping that they end up creating a Beethoven film with him. So, but this film, the music is great too. There's like these interesting like period choral pieces in there, which it gives like a unique texture to the film, which I really liked. I really enjoyed that a lot, and I thought it was well directed, well acted. Our lead character, played by Anya Taylor-Joy, which I know you guys know from, which we all know from The Witch as well as Split. So she was great in those, and with the film Emma, it's no different. She was also fantastic in this as well. So the main story is just her, as I had mentioned earlier, she's like trying to play Cupid with her friends, and like things are just constantly backfiring, and like it's kind of like a what's the saying? When you're no good deed goes unpunished. That's kind of like what happens in this film, and she ends up creating a mess, and there's that whole like rom-com like teenage quality to it, where like people are constantly like falling for each other, and like there's never like one character that likes another character. It's like they're all liking everybody, and it's constantly changing, and like everyone's constantly getting hurt, and it has its charm and it has its funny moments. It's a dry comedy. It kind of reminds me of like Mozart style comedy, or like operatic comedy. I mean, where,
like Mozart the movie?
No, not Mozart the movie, but just kind of like what I imagine like a comedic opera is, where you're kind of like where it play or even like a Shakespearean comedy. Like it has the same type of feel to me, you know. But anyways, I think that if you enjoy those things I had already mentioned, rom-coms, period pieces, Jane Austen, this film is for you. Other than that, you can steer clear of it. So or wait to watch it later, curbside.
Mike, funny enough, I don't know if you knew this or not, but do you remember the movie Clueless was an adaptation of Emma?
Oh, really?
Jane Austen.
Oh, okay.
So if you enjoyed the movie Clueless, you also might enjoy you might enjoy the movie Emma. Because it's a direct adaptation of that book.
Got you.
This movie is available on YouTube, Google Play, and Amazon Prime for anyone who's interested in watching it.
Yes. And what was the pricing on that?
I think it's
$14.99.
$14.99. Yeah, it's like $15 on Prime. I think it's $15 everywhere.
Yes,
I can double check that, but yeah.
No, you don't need to double check. It's fine.
So you can wait. I would say curbside. Wait till it's like, but I do imagine like this being nominated for best wardrobe. It looks great. The quality of it is fantastic.
Yeah, I kind of feel like all period pieces suffer from the same thing, which is like, especially depends on the movie, but like for the most part, a lot of great set design, a lot of great setting and set places, but the story just kind of feels like it's built around that. Does it feel a little bit staged?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
What do you mean exactly? Like
people are sitting in a certain position that's very uncomfortable, and I wouldn't be sitting like them. Like, you know what I mean?
It's strange. I think it's the actors that were chosen for the film, but it constantly gives like this like I couldn't help but get this like almost like a 10 Things I Hate About You vibe. I don't know.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Mike, that is Taming of the Shrew adaptation. That's a Shakespearean movie, basically. It's 10 Things I Hate About You.
No,
thank you, Dan. I love that.
No, I take it back. I don't think it was. It's aware of itself. It's aware of itself as a comedy. So I don't think that like, and I think some of the characters kind of are a little I wouldn't say overacted, but it makes sense for the role and for the part why a character would be that way. It matches for it as a comedy. So,
do you feel like this movie suffers from having a male director, like the male gaze, versus a female director?
No. It's interesting. I gotta research this because IMDb lists Autumn de Wilde as her. So
the pictures I've seen are of a man. So
I'm aware of that. Yeah. So I don't know if that's been a typo or.
Oh, you're right. That's curious.
Yeah. So it is. Yeah. So yeah, I'm not sure.
No, yeah, I'm sorry. You're right. It is a woman who is a director,
and she's and from what I understand, I know she has experience in photography. I know this film, like, it does look like moving pictures. Everything looks like fantastic. So cinematography wise, I would definitely recommend checking this out. So.
Yeah, this movie is directed by somebody who's done primarily music videos.
Yes.
Yeah.
So for a directorial debut, I thought it was pretty good.
Good on her for making her feature debut in a movie.
Yeah.
So yeah, despite those things, it's still take out curbside for me. But if all of those other things are things. You look for in a film. If you like Jane Austen films, then I would say check it out.
Right on.
Z, what do you think?
I'm gonna go with Mike on this. I think Curbside makes sense to me. I do like rom-coms.
I was about to say, I'm like, you're the rom-com queen.
Yeah, okay, but to be fair, like, I am very judgmental about the rom-coms I consume. Like, I'm not gonna watch a terrible rom-com versus a very good one.
That's debatable, Z.
That's not whatever. You know what? You don't know rom-coms. I'll let you judge. I'll let you stay in your lane of Korean horror versus my American rom-coms. Okay.
Fair. That's fair enough.
Okay. Thank you. All right. So yes, I'm going to say Curbside. I'll watch this movie, but I won't rush to watch it.
Dan?
You know what? I am a fan of, at least of Jane Austen films, and I am a fan of Clueless. So I'm going to go with Delivery. I'm probably going to go check this out now.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, let me know what you think, Dan. All right, I'm going to go ahead and hand the duties back over to you, Dan.
Thank you, Mike, and thank you, Z, for those awesome reviews. Again, SCOOB, we decided to go with curbside takeouts. Wendy, it was a split between delivery and curbside takeouts. The Call of the Wild, we went with curbside takeout, and split was leftovers, and this one is split as well with delivery and curbside takeout. So let us know what you think of the movies if you saw them. Thank you so much, Z, for your review. Thank you so much, Mike, as well. Until next time, we are back with all new episodes of Movie Menu Reviews. Make sure to check out our social media on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter, on YouTube, all with Movie Menu Podcast. And then visit our website at moviemenupodcast.com. Until next time, guys, say goodbye. Thank you so much.
Movie menu, movie menu, movie menu, movie menu, movie menu, the movie menu, movie menu, movie menu.